Hi, Joe.
Hello. All right, I'm going to take these off now so that the glare doesn't conk out my eyeballs. Hi, hello.
It's
We
so
are
good.
hanging out with Monica. She's in Texas, and I'm way up north from where she is in Ottawa, Canada. And Monica, you are my very first camp spotlight. So camp is, for those of you watching who don't know, camp is my online membership space for all things creative, creative awakenings, mindfulness, and play. And Monica is one of my campers. And we're going to talk more about camp later because really the focus of this chat is for us to get to know Monica a little bit more, get to know what gets her creative mojo going. We're going to learn about her creative business, which is so spectacular and so unique. I've never seen anything quite like it, and she's rocking it in the business world.
Aw.
And then, of course, we're going to learn some fun facts about Monica and hear why she loves camp so much. So, Monica, how about you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Where are you? What do you like to do for fun? And tell us a bit more about Little Bits of Mona.
Awesome. Well, I'm Monica Wayts, the artist and creator behind Little Bits of Mona. So I spend my days sanding, stringing, staining, and cutting little wood pieces.
Oh, so cute. And you just taught a workshop on how to create that shamrock string art with the Creative Retreat Live, right?
Yeah.
Live, what was it called? Live Creative Retreat with Peggy Dean's workshop. That's awesome. So you're in Texas, you're married, you've got a daughter, I know.
Yeah.
You have 3 kids?
No, 3 huskies.
I was going with the humans
I
first,
know.
but if you want to do huskies, if you want to talk about dogs first, I'm cool with that too. But you do have a daughter, right?
Yes, she's in California right now.
Okay. Yeah, so she doesn't count. She doesn't count. It's the dogs that matter. Brilliant. Amazing. So I asked my campers who would like to be featured in a camp spotlight. And the purpose of these camp spotlights is to invite the rest of the world, at least here on Instagram, to a little glimpse to the types of people that we have at camp, and to also share a little bit of my camp members with the world in terms of their creative businesses, if they have one, what they're passionate about in terms of their own creativity, what creativity means to you, and all of those good things. So Monica raised her hand to be featured, so here we are today. And part of the Camp Spotlight is for the campers to answer a little tiny survey. There are 4 questions in the Camp Spotlight survey. So we're going to go through those. They're posted in they're shared rather in the post that I shared post. That's a lot of repetition. But I gave kind of the Coles notes on Monica's answers in the post, which is in my feed. But I thought we would just chat about them more at length here in our live chat. So the first question was, what is your favorite go-to creative play? And I know you're not going to say it's string art, and you can talk about that too.
No, that's my day-to-day. But
right.
For my creative play, I'm digging watercolor.
Watercolor. And is that a new exploration for you?
I dabbled years ago and kind of put it to the side, and then it's just been kind of re-exploration.
Yeah. And I goofed when I posted your spotlight this morning, and I completely forgot to share the beautiful photo of the lettering and floral piece that you did. Do you have it handy? Could you show?
I do.
Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Is that backwards? I think it is backwards because everything's backwards on Instagram. But it's, how do you pronounce that word? Huga?
Yeah, huga.
Yeah.
It's
beautiful.
Yeah, it's my one little word of the year.
Oh yeah, we talked about that at
camp.
Yeah, right. Comfort and
feeling of coziness and comfort.
Nice. So you created that just as a personal reminder of what your word of the year is, and you've got that within reach all the time. Beautiful. So can we talk a little bit about why you didn't say that string art is your go-to form of creative play?
Well, that's my business.
Right. So what's the difference? I mean, you must love string art if you turned it into a business. So, I mean, I know the answer to this question, but I think a lot of people wonder about people who are in creative businesses, like they must just be so happy doing their happy thing all the time, all day, every day, and getting paid for it. But that's not always the case, right?
Right. I mean, I
Right.
love it. I love every part of it. I love getting covered in sawdust. I love traveling and doing vendor events. I've even hosted an in-person workshop. But
Yeah.
time for me, and that's kind of where I've kind of explored in other areas. I mean, I've dabbled in wood burning, and I'm getting back into watercolors. I've tried,
Nice.
gouache for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and
So,
really practicing hand lettering, just little things like that.
yeah. And can you speak to how doing something totally different um, is just provides you with a different kind of feeling or a different, like, what, how could you describe the difference between doing string art, which you do love, but doing something totally different just for you? Like, what are the advantages of that?
It uses a different part of your brain. It's kind of an escape,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to focus on doing something in watercolor, which I don't really have to focus so much on doing my string art. It's become
Yeah,
kind of
you're
like
on
second
autopilot.
nature. But trying
Yeah,
to do a new medium or trying to
right.
process, I have to use a different part of my brain.
Yeah, I love that. And also, to when you're doing something for your business, it's outcome driven, right? There's
Yeah,
an expectation there. It's a commission, or it's something, part of a collection that you're launching. There's an outcome expectation. There's a deadline. There's a certain level of quality that you need to meet every time. So there's pressure there.
right.
It's okay that you still love to do it, but there is a totally different kind of pressure and expectation on yourself. So when
Absolutely.
you're doing something just for fun and just for your own creative self-care, it doesn't matter if the watercolor, splashes a little bit or bleeds into the next color or whatever you're playing with. Like, you can truly just let go and unwind and rest into that activity, right?
Right. It's something that, I mean, it can be personal. I can keep it to me. I can share it if I want to, but it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
about a finished product. It's about trying new things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the second question was, what is your favorite go-to creative tool at the moment?
And at the moment, it's been a refillable watercolor brush.
Ah, very cool.
I mean, I didn't know they existed.
Yeah, I have a few of those and I use them. I take them when I'm traveling. I have a little watercolor kit and I take those water brushes and they're so super handy. In fact, I think I still have one that has water in it from Havana, Cuba when I traveled there in February 2020. And I'm
Oh,
like, I'm savoring it because
yeah.
it's just like a little bit of Cuba.
So,
I'm surprised they didn't like kibosh it at the airport
right.
on the way back, but who would think of that?
But for
That's really
me, it's
cool.
also helped because I mean, when you have to set aside time for creative play, and for me, little obstacles can get in the way. Silly things like,
Mhm.
oh, I have to grab my brushes. I have to grab 2 cups of water. Well,
Right.
this little handy tool, there's least amount of resistance. Just fill this
Yeah.
bag, and I can start.
Yeah, absolutely. I find that they take a little bit of practice to master, like, when to squeeze to get the water
Yes,
out, how much to squeeze. You have to make sure you have a clean rag handy so you can blot any excess water. So there's a little bit of a learning curve with
right.
them. And they do come in different sizes as well. So, and also I've seen some flat ones as well as the typical round ones. So there is a big variety available of those water brushes if anybody was interested in stocking up on those, because yeah, they totally make it so much more accessible. Like I said, you can just kind of grab a couple of those water brushes, and I don't have it within reach, but I have a little pack of dried watercolor pigment on papers instead of like pans or tubes, and it's
Hmm.
just so super handy. You can just take it to a coffee shop or sit in the car while you're waiting for your
Outside.
kid to get home from school or whatever the
Hmm.
case may be. Super portable. Yeah, nice. Okay, the third question is a fun fact. So I give the campers who want to be in the spotlight a choice of 10 different fun facts and they can answer them. And Monica chose to answer the fun fact question, what is your favorite line from a movie? Do you remember what you wrote?
Yes,
Can you share it?
I hope so. I'm a Texas woman, which means I don't need the help of a man to keep things running.
I love that so much. It's like, it is so you, because you're like fast, feisty and sassy. And, you know, I've seen Monica like with power tools and sanders and hammers, and she just waits for no one. So I love that. Of course, that's your favorite movie quote. And that's from the movie called The Rookie. I haven't
Yeah,
seen it.
it's a must see.
What's it about?
It's about it's a guy who loved baseball, but then he got injured. Kind of like when you had discovered your, love of art and you kind of put it aside. Well, as he got older, he was coaching and he lost a bet with his kids. If they got to state, then he had to try out for the local baseball team.
Oh.
And he, thought, oh, I'm older, I have an injury, but he worked through it and actually got on the minor league team, and then he got called up to the Texas Rangers. So it's a big deal.
Is it a true story?
Yes.
Oh, no way.
Yes, Dennis Quaid is the main actor.
Oh, nice. Oh, cool.
I
Okay, I will look for that.
They played at Texas Stadium, or the Texas Rangers field. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. That's so neat. Awesome. Okay, so the final question is a little bit self-serving because, of course, I am camp director, but I always love hearing what people love about camp. You came to camp via my 6-week course, Becoming Consciously Creative. You were one of the very first people to go through that course with me in September. Today's actually the last day of the second cohort of it, so it's kind of weird timing. So you participated in that course and then decided to join camp. So you've been a camper since November 2021. So how many months is that? 4 months?
4 months.
November, December, January, February. 4 months. Wow, it feels longer than that.
It does.
Yeah, so can you talk a little bit about, you can talk about BCC if you like, or more specifically, like, just what do you love about camp and what would you like people to know about camp?
Sure. Well, I joined because I wanted to be an extension of BCC, of finding that time for daily creative play and just trying new things, new mediums, new ways of thinking about creative play. But what surprised me, it was just the sisterhood that's developed.
Yeah.
There's
and Ryan.
Plus our token bro, yes. Soul bro.
Soul bro, yeah.
Yes, we've bonded over our shared love of yoga, and there's a group of us that do yoga on the regular, and that's taught by one of our fellow campers.
Yep.
And we get to talking about books. We're reading the same books, and we enjoy the same, content, whether professional or personal. And I just love seeing the growth people are making, personal, professionally, and just being a part of the support team that's kind of developed out of us.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, when I started camp in November of 2020 as a way to kind of pivot my business from in-person workshops to an online space, I really built it to be an online arena for creative play classes and the occasional event. I was just going to record all of these classes and all these lessons and then do an occasional live event with a guest artist or a guest instructor. And there was a community component, but I had no idea that the community component was going to like blow up and that was going to end up being the heart of camp. And how almost every single participant from Becoming Consciously Creative in the fall who wasn't already a camper joined camp because they just really connected with the other women in the course, and they wanted that companionship moving forward and that creative cheerleading that we provide one another. And I just can't even imagine not having that community anymore. Like, as much as I am the camp director, I'm also a participant in the community, right? I lean on you guys too, and we have personal chats, and I think we've all had our fair share of tears, and we celebrate together and we grieve together and we commiserate, and we're champions for one another. And I just think that it's such a blessing, and that's a difficult thing to communicate, for me to start talking about camp and promoting camp. Like, how do you communicate the raw emotion that is the benefit of having this circle of friends that are campers. So it's nice to kind of hear it from you, and hopefully some others jump in to be in the spotlight in the weeks ahead.
Yes,
Yeah.
good.
We've got a bunch of campers watching. Tina saying it's her favorite place to be.
Yes.
Yeah, it's my favorite place to be too. Yeah.
I learned so much just from the guest artists you've had, and just from the show campers. I mean, Tina does, her pigment to paint. It's like, what? It's just something I never even was aware of. It's just being exposed to, like I said, new ideas, whether it's creativity wise or just personal wise.
Yeah. I think creativity brought us all together.
Yes.
But the benefit is so much greater, and what we're learning from each other is so much greater. Monica just touched on the fact that some of the campers actually also come as guest instructors. So Janine in Germany leads us once a month in live yoga. We just had a yoga session with her on Sunday morning. Tina is in North Carolina, and she led us in a workshop on grinding pigments from her property grinding rocks on her property into pigment, watercolor pigment. Naomi has led us in watercolor, like mindful watercolor. It was one of the very first workshops we had. Like, so many of our campers do so many interesting creative things. I actually just had to start a whole new category of classes called Campers in the Kitchen, because some of my campers asked, can I film a video of me making this recipe in the kitchen, and can I share it with the campers? I'm like, yeah, for sure.
Right.
So it's turning into like this whole almost life skills,
yes,
which is what summer camp really is, right? Like,
right.
It's, yes, creativity is what's getting us through the door, but it's becoming such a broader, way more encompassing collection of skills and just cool things to learn. Cool things to learn. So,
yes, the companionship that keeps us there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if it was just a library of lessons, I don't know if I would have been able to stick with it as long as I have been. It's the community that really is the heart of it, for sure. So let's get back to you, because I want to hear more about what's coming up next for Little Bits of Mona. Are you going to be starting to do any vendor markets soon?
I have looking at one for March. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 scheduled for April.
Oh, nice.
It's going to be a busy month.
And do you go looking for these? Like, are they regular events that happen kind of every year for you? Do you just, like, how do you choose which ones to attend? How do you find them? How far are you willing to travel to participate in them?
Yeah, kind of all the above. Some of them I have done a couple of times, and so I go back to the tried and true. Some of them are brand new to me, like the ones in April. They're all brand new to me.
Oh, wow.
I'll be trying to figure it out myself. But yeah, DFW is where I live right in the middle. It's a huge area. I mean, just driving to Dallas, and who aren't local, it could be like an hour away. Same thing for Fort Worth.
So wow.
Huge.
So there's lots of options for vendor fairs and markets and handmade.
Yes. I try to keep it within 45 minutes, because that's a good, hour.
Well, yeah. And if you start, chewing away at your profits by staying in hotels and having to eat out, it's probably good for getting more people aware of your business, but not so great for your bottom line if you're spending your profits before you even get home.
Right. And plus the time you have to, because you have to get there so much time before the event starts, so you can set up and things like that.
Yeah. I did some handmade fairs several years ago, almost 10 years ago, holy moly, when I was making my own handmade skincare. I had a little handmade skincare business.
Oh, wow. Called
Mavis Naturals, and I did that for a couple of years, so I'm very familiar with the crafter market whole ordeal. Yeah,
it's fun. I love to get
it is.
The customers, they respond to my work in different ways, different pieces. So I just love to see what each kind of market or show, how they respond to it, whether it's by area or whether it's just by the design. I love to get their input.
Yeah.
To something, and it's just so interesting because it's always different.
There's Marley. She had to have her 15 seconds.
I want to talk to.
Yeah. So you've had a little taste of teaching as a participant at Creative Retreat Live. Do you think that's something that you'll dabble in moving
Yeah.
forward?
I mean, I'm shocked when I think about it. I've been doing my business for 5 years, and that's the first start to finish video I've ever recorded.
Oh man.
I know.
And from what I've heard, I haven't had an opportunity to watch it, but from what I've heard, it was pretty spectacular.
Oh, thank you.
You've been getting lots of good feedback on it?
I have. People
Great.
always wanted to try it that just didn't know how, or
Well, it's so unique. I mean, when I first saw your account, I think probably when you registered for becoming consciously creative, I went and snooped and had a peek to see what you were up to. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so unique. It's so cool. It's so playful. It's so fun. I was familiar with it, like probably from when I was a kid. Like I might have done something like that at summer camp. But I was so impressed that you've been able to make a whole business out of it, and that you're so prolific at it. Every time you post something, it's something totally new. Like you do people's names, you do custom states with like special motifs in them. Like it's so mind-boggling how versatile this single like craft has become for you, and has allowed you to build this really great business that obviously people are really drawn to, and people are appreciating having it available to them to either buy, or you also do DIY kits, right?
yeah.
And they're probably pretty popular. You sent me one for Christmas. It's in my Christmas box. I didn't get to do it this year, but it's in my Christmas box to do next year. A little Christmas treat. Yeah.
Oh, especially at the beginning of the pandemic. I mean,
Right.
obviously indoor shows were shut down, but then that's when my husband had been on me for years. You need to put your kits on there, because I did like make and takes at some shows. So just little blocks, little small.
Make and take. That's so cute.
Like I had kids to adults stop by. They could do it in like 30 minutes, and then got a little glimpse into what I do. And he'd always been telling me, you need to put these kits online, and I'm like, yeah. Well, in the pandemic, I did, and they went like crazy. So,
Okay, so I think the natural next step is
yes, online classes.
well, yeah, online workshops, but also in-person ones, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
get that whole one to several business model going.
Yes, and like I said, I hosted one in my garage with a bunch of ladies. That was kind of fun. So
that would be fun. That would be fun. Well, I'll have to get you up here to Canada when we can actually host a live camp retreat, and you can lead us in a string art workshop. Well, we can get you to lead us in one online at camp anyway.
yes, I could.
We can talk about that. We can talk about it too. So do you have any new like collections coming up, or like anything that you want to share as kind of a little teaser of what's coming next for Little Bits of Mona?
Not yet. I need to get better at planning beforehand. But usually for me, it's just like the idea comes to me. When I'm cutting wood, I end up with these kind of oddball pieces of wood that I'm not really big enough to make anything, or there's kind of oddball shapes. And that's when some of my ideas come to life. I'll see that wood and I'm like,
nice.
Ooh, that would be good on there. And then the idea comes.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You got some really good traction on one of your more recent posts. I think it was somebody's name that you wrote in rainbow colors, or really bright, like popsicle.
Yeah, Maestra.
Yeah. I just think those colors were so vibrant and eye-catching. So fun.
And that's another fun thing. I've dabbled in hand lettering, and so those signs are from my own personal hand lettering.
Yeah, that's so
kind of,
smart. Combine the two mediums like that, the two techniques like that. So clever. I love that. So where can people find you? We've got you here now, so they can click on your profile and follow you here. But you've also got a website.
Yes, fairly new website.
It's brand new?
Not brand new, but I've kind of just quietly launched it.
And is it littlebitsofmona.com?
Yes.
Perfect.
And on there only, I also have an Etsy shop, but on my website, they'll also find my new product line I started this year, which is called Make 16.
What's that?
So that's small batch products, not related to string art.
Oh.
So each month I'll release on the 16th, 16 only of whatever that item is. So for
And
January,
what kind of products are they?
it was my word of the year on an embroidery hoop.
Oh,
And then for February, it was a watercolor print with a gradiated background.
neat. How did I not know about this? Hi, Mara. You are just full of surprises.
Yeah.
One of the things I love about you.
I don't have them quite handy, but yes.
So do you know what you're going to be doing this March 16th?
Yes.
Oh, you can't say.
Not yet.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being the very first Camp Spotlight. As I said off the top, there's a post featuring the replay for this chat, and I'm sure Monica will share it as well.
Yeah.
And we'll see you at camp tomorrow for this week's picnic. And just thank you again so much for being here and sharing all your fun facts and just sharing a little bit of yourself with my friends and everybody here on Instagram.
Thank you for having me, always.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for joining.